2022 Ford Escape Hybrid. Is it worth buying one over other hybrid SUVs? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. When you picture hybrid cars, you normally think of brands like Toyota, which makes some of the most popular hybrids on the market, including the Corolla Hybrid, the RAV4 Hybrid, and of course the Prius. But other brands, including Ford, have been making hybrid cars for a very long time. And in fact, Ford was the first company to introduce a hybrid-powered SUV to the market with the first generation Ford Escape, which came out way back in 2005. And since then, the company has introduced several different hybrid models, and now they have the latest version, which is the Escape Hybrid. The question though is the Escape Hybrid a better hybrid SUV than other options on the market like the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid, and a few others as well? Well, make sure to stick around to the end of the video because that's what we're going to find out. The Escape Hybrid comes in a few different trim levels with a choice between either front-wheel drive or optional all-wheel drive. The drivetrain consists of a 2.5-liter, 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine that comes matched to an electric motor and a battery pack. The hybrid option is basically an upgrade over the standard 1.5 3-cylinder EcoBoost engine, which comes on the lower trim levels of the Escape. You can also get a much more powerful 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder EcoBoost, which comes on the highest trim level as well. Now, compared to both EcoBoost engines, I think the hybrid is an absolute no-brainer, and I'm going to explain why. For one thing, the hybrid is much more fuel efficient. You can get up to around 40 miles per gallon or 6 liters per 100 kilometers, which is a huge improvement over either of the EcoBoost engines. Either EcoBoost engine can only get up to around 30 miles per gallon, so you could potentially save up to 40 to 50% on gas by going with the Escape Hybrid. And the great part about that is that you don't have to spend a lot more money in order to get the hybrid. The hybrid is only around $1,000 to $2,000 more than the equivalent EcoBoost 3-cylinder model, which is not a huge price premium to pay. Considering that you could be saving anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a year on gas by going with the hybrid, it's not going to take too many years in order to make up that price difference. Not only will the hybrid save you a lot of money on gas, but I honestly think it's the best drivetrain option to go with. I really like the fact that Ford uses a simple, naturally aspirated 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine with the hybrid, as opposed to a much more complicated turbocharged engine like you get with either of the EcoBoost options. Turbo engines are not only more complicated, but they tend to be more expensive to repair and have more problems over the long term, and that's definitely the case with Ford's EcoBoost engines, which have a bit of a mixed history. By comparison, you're not going to have any of those issues with a simple, naturally aspirated engine, which is exactly what you get with the hybrid. Now, I know many might be wondering whether you can really trust Ford to give you good long-term reliability, especially when compared to other brands like Toyota, which has been making hybrid cars for well over 2 decades and have one of the best reputations when it comes to longevity and long-term reliability. The reality is that Ford has been making hybrids for a very long time as well. Like I said, they were the first company to introduce a hybrid SUV with the Escape back in 2005. And since then, they've introduced many different hybrid models, including the Ford Fusion Hybrid, the C-Max Hybrid, and a few other ones as well. And for the most part, they've been pretty reliable. Most of the technology that Ford's been using has been borrowed or inspired by Toyota, and they've definitely stood the test of time. For those who are wondering, yes, this is the exact same hybrid drivetrain that you'd find under the hood of the base Ford Maverick, which, if they felt confident enough to put under the hood of a pickup truck designed for workhorse duty, then it's probably going to be pretty durable. I would definitely feel more confident recommending something like an Escape Hybrid over other comparable hybrid SUVs, like say for example the Tucson or Santa Fe Hybrid, which are using brand new technology that doesn't have the same kind of proven track record. Not only is it more well proven, but it's also a very good performing hybrid. It makes a decent amount of power, you get 200 horsepower and 155 pound-feet of torque, and it's very quiet and refined. The transition between hybrid mode and gas mode is pretty seamless, and it's a very comfortable SUV to drive every day. With 200 horsepower, the hybrid actually makes more power than the base 1.5 3-cylinder EcoBoost. Now, it obviously doesn't make as much power as the much more powerful 2-liter EcoBoost, but that engine is really only necessary for those who plan to do a decent amount of towing. The towing capacity on that one is around 3,500 pounds. With the hybrid, you can only tow up to around 1,500 pounds. Not only is it a nice driving SUV, but it has a pretty comfortable and practical interior too. Now, the use of materials and the design of the interior is nowhere near as good as what you'd find in other comparable SUVs, like say for example, the Hyundai Tucson. By comparison, this is a pretty basic utilitarian interior with a lot of hard plastic, cheaper materials, that sort of thing, but it's also a very functional interior with great usability. All of the controls are extremely straightforward. You've got lots of simple buttons and knobs for all of your basic functions like your climate controls, and you also have a pretty well-designed touchscreen infotainment system too. The touchscreen uses the latest version of Ford's Sync interface, which has both Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a very clear, easy-to-use menu structure. You also get a fully digital gauge cluster behind the steering wheel, which has really nice looking graphics and is customizable too. It's a pretty spacious interior as well, with lots of room in the back seats and a pretty good sized cargo area with back seats that can obviously be folded flat. I'm not sure whether it has quite as much room as what you'd get with the RAV4 Hybrid or the Tucson Hybrid, which are also very spacious and practical SUVs, but it's definitely in the same ballpark. If you are just looking for a nicer interior with a more upscale environment, nicer features and technology, I think you are getting more with one of the alternatives like the RAV4 Hybrid, the Venza, or the Tucson Hybrid, which are definitely a step above the Escape. What the Escape does have going for it though is pretty aggressive pricing. The price ranges from around $30,000 to $36,000 in the States, or between $34,000 and $42,000 in Canada, which is pretty much in line with the RAV4 Hybrid and significantly cheaper than other hybrid SUVs like the Tucson, the Santa Fe, or the Sorento. If you are shopping on a budget and looking for the most affordable option in a hybrid SUV, then the Escape Hybrid would definitely come near the top of the list. Not only is it more affordably priced, but Ford is also more likely to offer sales incentives and rebates, which can reduce the price even further. At the time of this video recording, for example, Ford was offering 0% interest financing plus a $750 rebate on all remaining 2021 Escape hybrids, which are the type of incentives that you would never find on a comparable RAV4 or Venza hybrid from Toyota. The other thing that might make this a more compelling option is the availability. Now, all hybrids and plug-in hybrids are in very high demand, and you might be waiting quite a long time to get one if you order one from a dealership. The waiting period for a RAV4 hybrid, for example, can be anywhere from 3 to 6 months depending on where you're located. The same is also true for the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid and the Kia and Honda hybrids as well. But that might not necessarily be the case with the Ford Escape. The Escape Hybrid seems to have better availability than other hybrid SUVs in many locations. Now, obviously, this is very dependent on where you live, but if you're in a hurry to buy a car and don't want to wait a long time, you might want to take a closer look at the Escape. So where exactly does that put the Ford Escape Hybrid in the ranking of hybrid SUVs? Now, in terms of its design and performance, I wouldn't exactly put it at the top. I think the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid is a better hybrid SUV in many ways. It has a better design, a nicer interior, great performance and fuel economy, and of course you have that well-proven Toyota reputation for reliability and high resale value. It's also not as nice of an SUV as some of the newer hybrid SUVs like the Tucson and Santa Fe Hybrid or the Sorento Hybrid, which have better technology, better interiors, and just might be more satisfying to drive on a daily basis. But even though there's nothing flashy or fancy about the Escape, it is a well-designed hybrid SUV. Ford has been making hybrids for a long time, they have a well-proven reputation, and the affordability and value for money is excellent. I think the bottom line is that if you're just looking for a simple, practical SUV for an attractive price, you really can't rule out the Escape Hybrid. Another great thing about the Escape is that it's also available in a plug-in hybrid version as well, which has a dedicated electric driving range of around 37 miles or 55 kilometers. The question then becomes, which one is better, the regular hybrid or the plug-in hybrid? Well, I guess I have to get behind the wheel of one and find out. So let me know what you think of the 2022 Ford Escape Hybrid. Would you consider buying one over other hybrid SUVs like the RAV4, the Venza, or the Tucson? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at some of my other car videos by taking a look at these links right over here. Make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram. And if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to take a look at carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.